We are roughly 24 hours from the one-year mark of the deadly Edwardsville tornado. The EF3 storm killed 6 people at the Amazon warehouse. News 4 Investigates continues to probe into what happened. And new at 6:30, News 4 investigator Susan El-Khoury, her expanded discussion with one of Amazon's leaders on what's changing and the concerns that remain.
We are at the one-year mark since this tornado. Any message for the families who lost loved ones and survivors?
We know that they're grieving. This is, a really somber anniversary event, and our team is grieving as well. We are here for them and for the community. This is a really tough day, a tough weekend, but we want to make sure that our team feels supported, that they have the resources that they need. We're ensuring we have grievance counselors at our sites, but we also want to make sure that we're paying the appropriate and respectful attention to those who lost their lives.
How has this specifically changed how Amazon is looking at safety at warehouses?
We're always looking at how we can improve safety across our network. This event led us to really focus in on emergency preparedness and emergency response, and to make some really, I think, important changes that have elevated our program. We hired a meteorologist. This meteorologist allows us not only to just monitor the weather, but to project weather. We saw that become really helpful in the hurricanes in Florida. We were able to predict 10 days out. We've done a lot of work to really increase the site-by-site level of our emergency response plans. And we did one final thing, which I think is important. OSHA set some guidelines related to emergency response and preparedness. FEMA set some guidelines that are a little bit more stringent, and we've opted to go the FEMA guideline route as well.
You mentioned hiring a meteorologist. Is that a new role?
It is a new role. We've had a global logistics team who's focused on weather and adverse events for years. Any global company, any logistics or airline would have that type of a team. The meteorologist was an important addition to that team, as I said, because it helps us project to actually forecast out and not just respond to.
Are there any plans to put in a storm shelter at the warehouse?
So I think it's important to remember that we're a tenant at the warehouse and that the landlord is required to restore the building to its pre-tornado condition, and that's what he's doing. That doesn't mean that we're not having conversations with them, but what we're focused on right now are the things we have control over.
What would it take to start looking at storm shelters in these warehouses, which we know can't withstand these powerful storms?
So I would tell you that our network is more than 800 facilities just in North America alone. Something like that is a massive undertaking, and it's going to take time for us to research, to talk with experts and structural engineers, and really determine what is the most effective to ensuring the safety of our employees. Those conversations are ongoing.
There had been an engineer who had come out to the tornado site the night that it had happened. He wrote a memo questioning the structural integrity of the building and saying that he saw columns that weren't properly anchored. Has Amazon seen any evidence of that?
We had our own investigation that's still very much a topic of discussion internally, so it really wouldn't be appropriate for me to get into the details of it. But I can say again that the building was built to code and it was fully inspected.
Any plans to make the results of that investigation public once it's completed?
It's probably a document that we would use to help bolster our own training, but we are working with members of Congress who, as you know, have requested a lot of documentation, and we're providing them all the necessary documentation.
If a tornado were hitting this warehouse right now, would you want to be in here, or would you want to be in a storm shelter?
I feel really confident that I know where to go, and it's going to be the safest place in this building.
Right now, the warehouse looks like it's done, but there is still construction that's happening inside. Amazon tells News 4 Investigates there is no set date for when they'll be working out of that warehouse again. We also learned about another big change since the tornado. Amazon says they're having FEMA specialists come into some of their warehouses to determine the safest place to be during severe weather.